Hi guys, thanks for tuning into the channel again. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Liz and I'm a part-time reseller here in Maryland. Today's video is pretty special. There'll be a few surprises for you. I learned a lot and hopefully I'll make a lot too. I have several items that will earn me more than 100 times what I paid for them. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good work for Saturday morning. So I was happy with that. I do want to share those with you. I have appreciated when you guys have shared things that you've learned or noticed with me. So please do feel free to leave a comment. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons. It helps me out. And let's go check out how this weekend went. So this was the first sale of the day, and they called it a driveway sale, which I thought was interesting. And they definitely had some of the types of things I look for. Now, because I don't have a GoPro, it's actually pretty hard for me to shop while I film. So the items that I picked up here that I'm going to show you in the haul that kind of made my morning aren't in the video. So, I'm not doing that on purpose. It's just that I had run in there and was busy shopping and making a pile. But I wanted to show you that they had some of the kinds of things I would normally buy or that might encourage me to dig deeper, to look for names on the bottoms of things and so forth. The women running the sale were super nice, but you will get to see those things later. So they had some kitchen type things and mid-century stuff, which I almost always like. Oh, I do see that maybe one of the items is in this clip, so that's good. Yeah. I did ask them if I could film. I was the only person there, and they wanted to run out of the frame, which was really cute. They thought that they were going to ruin the footage, I guess. And they had a couple of people who dropped off some boxes of stuff too. I didn't see as much in this area. But I figured I would just kind of show you some of the things they had here at their driveway sale. And this woman was dropping off things that were a little bit newer. I did pick up a few small things like bread and butter items from her. Now this particular sale was really interesting. This was in an old schoolhouse in the historic town. And the people were moving, they were diplomats and they were moving to another country. So this happens really fast and makes me look a little manic. But I was trying to make sure that the other pickers weren't going to get all the good stuff before I did. And there were just a few pieces of costume jewelry that I wanted. So I was emptying out the stuff I didn't want kind of quickly and trying to scan the other costume jewelry sort of quickly as well. And I think I picked up this ring, even though it's very obviously costume. But it was a pretty little costume ring. So yeah, so these people were moving. They had an amazing house. I just loved the building, and they were telling me stories about the school teacher who had lived there. And I picked up a few baskets from them. I don't think I showed those in the haul, but I did buy these two baskets I'm looking at, and they had really unique items. So a lot of bread and butter items, and not in the film because I don't have a GoPro. I don't think I caught footage of the item that I'm the most happy about from this sale. It's just too hard to grab items and hold them in your hands while you're filming with your phone. But again, I wanted to show you some of the other regular items. I did pick up that little Aladdin lamp as well, so you could get an idea. Now this was the hippo estate sale. So I have some very short clips here because it was really busy and I didn't want people to get stressed out, with me. But I just wanted to show you what the house looked like. We have a lot of estate sales like this that have really cool stuff. I love these. This mug is so cool. And I think I'll mention it later, but this woman collected hippos. I'm always drawn to these Art Deco things that used to come. I think they came with the refrigerators, but that one had a huge chip, and I couldn't think of a way to make it past that chip, so I did leave that behind. Just looking through the cupboards, I feel like the real pickers I know really enjoy going through the cupboards and the drawers, and so I wanted to kind of like do that on film, show you what we do out there for people who don't do it or people who love to see it. They had a toy room. I ended up picking up that Vlasic. I guess he's a stork. I'm not sure, but I picked him up. He's not a huge moneymaker, but he was just too cool to pass up. I think he was from the late 70s. They wanted $40 for that vintage bear, which I thought was wild. He didn't even have like the rubber face. Maybe I was wrong. Let me know in the comments if... Okay, so those people were super nice and they were moving. And they had a wide assortment of vintage items. I was actually a little bit late to this sale because it was on Facebook and it was not on like Craigslist. And I just happened to see a sign when I was trying to drive to another neighborhood near me. But you can see they had like some Czechoslovakian pottery. They had some, hold on, this guy's so cute. Some vintage toys. This is the Vlasic pickle guy. I don't know if he has a name. He probably does. Some cool signs. She was a hippo collector, so I got a bunch of house hippos to share. Look at this cool, like red, white, and blue. We call them Afghans, crochet blanket. I mean, I got vintage wrapping paper, mugs, salt and pepper shakers, 3 boxes of stuff. So I already stopped at the house and dropped a whole bunch of stuff off because you can see what my car looks like. Now, when I get upset about this, which isn't too often, my husband's nice enough to comfort me and say, pick her life, gotta love it. Usually it's the stuff that bothers him, but he understands it's part of this business. So I'm gonna see what needs to be sold locally and quickly and what I'm gonna sell somewhere else. I did get a frying pan for us. We don't just have like an old school frying pan, you know? And then one of those roasters that one of my very favorite YouTubers always buys, or at least it's very similar, so I hope it was a good buy for me too. Anyway, maybe a more formal haul later, not sure yet. Okay, so I just picked a few highlights from the weekend's finds, and you'll have to bear with me because the Brittany Spaniel is very animated tonight. I have a feeling he might be barking at wildlife we've got here and causing a little background noise, but I didn't want to do a voiceover for this. It's much easier and just feels real for all of us if I can just talk to you guys. So like I said, I only picked a few things. I bought boxes of stuff. You know, the hippo estate sale, I bought tons and tons of hippos that have already sold locally and many are in my booth. So they had some value. There were a lot of different smaller things that I put in the booth or things that I just thought would sell well there that weren't vintage or something like that. But these are kind of some highlights and might teach you guys something, kind of like they taught me something. So I've had these Juice-O-Mat like juicers before, and they seem to be kind of like increasing in popularity again. Now this one's pretty chippy, as they say, but I actually kind of like them that way because I want to see the life the thing has lived. You know, I don't want it to look like Target reproduced it. I want to see. Anyway, this has that Art Deco kind of lines here on the handle and everything. So I thought that might be worth like $15 or $20 locally, and people don't necessarily want an old-fashioned juicer, but if you sell them online, they can be worth $60, which I didn't even really realize. I haven't really had one in a while. So I thought that was interesting and worthy of note because I think I paid a couple of dollars for that. These I have not been able to find. There are 3 more of these tumblers in this Ziploc all wrapped up. The woman who was collecting hippos had been collecting them since she was a child. She said she had been hospitalized and her mother bought her something that was a hippo, maybe a stuffed hippo, and it cheered her up so much that she started collecting hippos, and she's probably like 65 now and is moving. And so she was letting go of some of these beautiful hippos from her collection. She didn't remember where these were from, and I haven't identified them, but I feel like hippos are kind of hot right now because of the house hippo trend. And since I can't find them, they might do well for another hippo collector online. So maybe like $40 for the set of 4, which is still decent, and these aren't huge. So I think they'll be pretty easy to ship. This ice bucket, champagne bucket, jardiniere, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, even though I took French, kind of reminded me of Lalique, which caught my eye. It's not Lalique, but it has that frosted kind of glow to it. And it's got these angels, and then it has like these sort of like a little bit creepy. You know how I like creepy faces, like these wise old man faces. Anyway, I couldn't find any with these handles, and I'm not sure if there was a handle over the top. I didn't find any with handles at all, but the one that I found was over $200 online. Now mine does have a little imperfection right here, but it's actually a relatively, what I would call, smooth chip. And I think I paid about $2 for that. So that's a really nice flip. So if it looks like Lalique and it's not, I would say still buy it if it's cheap enough. Antique bottles, they can be like such a joy and such a torment. I spent hours and hours looking up the bottles that I got this weekend because I've talked to you guys about keeping relationships going or cultivating relationships, and this particular man has a huge collection of antique bottles, and I bought some from him a few years ago, and they sold pretty well for me. Like, I didn't make millions. This one has some damage. These were probably dug up, honestly. And anyway, so I saw that it was his sale, and I jumped out, and I was like, Steve! And he had a whole tote, like a plastic tub that you put like your Christmas decorations in, full of bottles, and said I could have it for $20. I put a little cheat sheet here for myself. So I looked up this particular bottle, Globe Steam Bottling Company from Baltimore. And this one was around $99 on eBay. I'm not saying it's going to sell for that. That was, I believe, a listed price. I might have looked up solds. It was like early in the morning. And this one was about $40. Now there were, oh my goodness, there must have been 50 bottles in there. And a lot of them will sell between $5 and $10 at my antiques booth. And so those will still make me some money too. I guess this might have a little bit of an imperfection. There was a really cool yard sale at this old school. What I mean is it used to be a school like in the 1800s. I think it was built in 1837. I live in a historic town, and some diplomats lived there, and I went to their last yard sale and bought really cool stuff, and their prices were really inexpensive. And this time the man even invited me to his house because he had a table that matched this that he wanted to show me. Beautiful. I've never seen ceilings that high in a normal person's house. Maybe like the mansions of Newport. Anyway, so this, I think there's actually jewelry still in here. Sorry, I was wondering where I put that. In the video, you can see me kind of scrambling because there were some other pickers nearby, and I really wanted to, go out and get what was mine. So this is costume jewelry, but I thought it was sellable stuff, and these boxes are just so beautiful with this inlay. I think they call it marquetry, and the prices vary kind of widely from $45 to several hundred. Mine has this imperfection, and I don't have the key, so it might be closer to that $45. But again, I only paid a couple of dollars, and these do sell online. I was aware of these Pyrex double boilers being valuable. This was washed with soap, but needs a special treatment for some of this like coffee staining or whatever it is. And I have some friends locally who suggested a couple of things. So thanks for that. And maybe not so locally. So thanks for that. Jody and Eric are coming to mind. And I think maybe Laura had a suggestion as well. So thank you guys for ways to get those stains off. But those sell for about $60 to $70 online. This one's pretty old, I think. I've had several of these, and they always do sell. Sometimes you can just sell them locally if you don't want to ship them. Okay. Another surprise that I had was these chickens. Now, I liked the look of them, but I didn't remember that I'd ever seen them before. They've got this speckled glaze or paint and kind of like stylized shapes, and I am kind of drawn to them anyway. But these are Howard Pierce, which I actually don't think I've ever owned a piece by Howard Pierce, or it hasn't been signed, and I've never owned these pieces. So I thought they might be worth maybe, I don't know, $25 or $35 for the pair. I think I paid a couple of dollars for the pair. But when I looked them up, a very similar pair of chickens was over $130 on Etsy. So look for that Howard Pierce shape and also the marking on the base. There were plenty of other things that I bought that will make me some money. I got some really nice leather boots, and I'm gonna kind of pan over, and this should be interesting, actually. Hold on one second. I don't need you to see the dog bowl. Anyway, thanks for bearing with me. So I actually thought this was a fake fur when I first grabbed it, because it was amongst like an adolescent's clothing, and it kind of looked young and hip, and I thought it was young and hip, and I said, oh, I can sell that in my booth and probably get $30 for it or whatever. But I was very surprised when I was back at my car to see that this is a Saga Fox. It's a real fur coat. It's vintage. It came from Finland, or the furs did. Really good condition. These are $200 to $300 online for this type of coat. So, you know, I was just really feeling like it was important to tell you guys that even though you probably do know a lot, you're still going to learn stuff and find things. So kind of go with your instinct. You know, I was drawn to the coat because I thought I could sell it for $25 or $30 in my booth. And it has a lot more value than that. And the chickens too, right? So yeah, you know, when you're scanning for things, if something kind of gives you that gut feeling, I think it's worth picking up. So hopefully you guys learned a couple of things. I know I learned some stuff this weekend. That pretty much ends up the haul. So thanks for tuning in. I just wanted to thank you guys once again for tuning in. Remind you to hit that like and subscribe button, and also remind you to never stop searching.